Hi there, this is Philip James. Just want to make a video to explain to any of my subscribers on YouTube that I've set up a Patreon account now. So I can give you put the link at the bottom of the video description for that. I'm doing it because I really want to start doing live streaming, and I'm not doing that right now. I'm just doing a recorded video because the whole streaming thing is just blows my mind at the moment. I've got to do a lot of learning on that. So just got myself a new webcam, but I've already got a fairly good microphone. And yeah, so hopefully going forward I can use these podcasts to bring together two big communities that are important to me. First would be the progressives that I know, so people in momentum that support progressive politics, where we have more fairness, more wealth equality, just wanting humanity to get better. Basically, I don't really say right wing or left wing anymore. I just simply say I'm a progressive, and I only look for if people consider themselves progressive or not. Podcasters that are popping up here, there and everywhere at the moment, and one of my favourite is Gordon Dimmock, because he's done an absolutely brilliant job keeping Julian Assange in our public discourse, because the awareness there is so important. But he and also Novara Media in the UK have done a brilliant job of exposing our government's disgusting collaboration with Saudi Arabia to keep arming them with weapons that they then use to carry out war crimes in Yemen. I mean, this whole situation in Yemen is probably one of the worst things the government's doing at the moment. It's not the most noticeable thing. Probably the most noticeable thing is the 9 years of failed austerity. I remember I used to be on the right, so when it was first coming along and the crash happened, I thought, well, maybe that is something that needs to happen, but it's just not. It's never worked. It's not panned out. The economy is just not much better than it was before the crash. In fact, things are slowing again because obviously we've had so much uncertainty. And I just think it's time that we in the UK just stopped listening to all this Red Scare nonsense and actually get a proper progressive elected, because in the US they got such a beautiful opportunity to do that in 2020, because Tulsi Gabbard is now running for president in the 2020 election. And so to all my American friends that are able to, I highly recommend you donate to her campaign, because she needs about 65,000 individual donors, unique donors, to qualify to get on the debate stage, according to the US Democratic Party. So this is important, because it's all about deciding who is going to be the Democratic nominee to then go up against Trump in 2020 or whichever Republican. But with Tulsi Gabbard, for me, that's kind of all right. Job done. I've been researching what she's about for ever since the 2016 election. She first popped on my radar, and I just love her message of aloha and the extra things that it means into just bringing a bit of love and humanity back into society. Having respect for each other, and not all this me kind of vulture capitalism on steroids, and no regulation. So yeah, Tulsi Gabbard is there's a lot of people that are trying to support her campaign on YouTube. So there'll be like Jamal Thomas in the US. He does a podcast called The Progressive Soapbox. So I'm a big fan of that, really love that. Another great one would be Kim Iverson. So she's kind of a new podcaster, but she had a lot of experience in radio before. So she's pretty confident with the way she presents herself, and she's doing a brilliant job. There's also, of course, the Jimmy Dore show. But that's in my view, everybody should know what the Jimmy Dore show is by now. It's when the day I saw him on Joe Rogan's podcast. Oh, that was incredible because it was like, two of my heroes having a podcast together. It was just brilliant. And again, when Tulsi Gabbard went on. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan ever since he started having those people on, because that just shows that he listens to all sides of the debate. He's not just like narrow-minded and biased down one area. I like that Joe Rogan, he kind of, in terms of politics, he's honest that he's just learning whose policies are what. He's open to hearing candidates, and he's not putting down decisions and endorsing people based on his own biases. He's doing a really good job of just listening to people, and then obviously over time he sort of comes to values that are important to him with his own audience, which is just probably the best way of doing it. For me, I'm a progressive through and through because I used to be a conservative. Before my brain cancer diagnosis, I was like Tory boy, and that's embarrassing. I was making a few jokes last year at UK CSE talks that when I had my tumour taken out, I swear I saw with the tongs there was a blue rosette on that tumour, like it took away the conservative. So yeah, it's quite a dark image for you, but you know that's the way your humour goes when you've been diagnosed with cancer. Check out those other podcasters and those other networks. I'm getting a bit disappointed with TYT now. I absolutely loved it through the 2016 election. When they were supporting Bernie Sanders, they did an absolutely brilliant job. They really did make some beautiful content. One of the areas where I think TYT have just really gone wrong recently is they would seem to be taking a long time to get Tulsi Gabbard on to hear her out, as it seemed like they'd already gone through everybody else that had put their hat in the ring already. Like I know they had one with Warren that was totally softball. They had Tulsi Gabbard on. Well, they were not softball questions. It seemed like it was just a quite a hostile interview, really. I mean, Cenk, I love you like a brother, but your questions to her were just rehashed right-wing talking points that we'd seen on like The View and so on. She's not had any positive interviews from any kind of mainstream media. In fact, mainstream media don't want to cover her because they're so afraid of her getting popular. Maybe that shows us that TYT is just sort of slowly going mainstream now. I mean, these questions they were asking her were they were like attack points, like gotchas, but they've already been debunked on all the other shows that they were already asked on before she came to TYT. So they had an opportunity when they had her on to actually ask her some new questions so we could learn some more about this election and what's coming up. So in my view, they failed to actually do their job properly that day because they just repeated what had already been on the news. Because if you're just asking a candidate the exact same questions that have been controversial elsewhere, you're just going to get the same answers and you're not going to get any news. I guess maybe it's Russiagate has kind of become the yardstick on whether or not you are listening to the truth or not, because we know now that Russiagate has been debunked. And when you think about it, it's obvious that it always was going to be debunked because it's a construct from the mainstream media to distract any analysis from why Hillary Clinton and the establishment Democrats did so bad in 2016, losing to a game show host. Well, I guess on the positive side, though, is that now we know who's truly progressive out in these podcasts, because one of them will be towing an establishment narrative, and the other will be going against that and debunking it, and there'll be a change in subject, at least. So yeah, you've got plenty of good progressives in the US to follow, like Tim Black, Nico, like Kyle Kalinske. He does brilliant podcasts as well. They really do impress me. Also, the Humanist Report. I'm just trying to, off the top of my head, imagine or remember as many of these progressives as I can. So all the learning that I've done over the past 3 years about progressivism and just trying to advocate for the world getting better, I think something I would really like to see from the UK cannabis community is just that they do follow progressive commentators like Gordon Dimmock, because Gordon Dimmock has actually done a lot to help out the UK CSE movement. I think he even is a member, in fact. He supports the cause that we want to decriminalise cannabis and have a regulated market. If all the hundreds of people in the cannabis community that I knew were subscribed to Gordon Dimmock's channel on YouTube, and they were learning what I'm learning, which is the truth from him, we would be much more informed when it comes to debates. And all it would take to have some real change in UK politics would be for people in the cannabis community to get politically active, join your local momentums, get organised, do grassroots campaigns, contact your MPs, and even public outreach. For example, like before Christmas, I literally went to Chester town centre and just started shouting out at random people what the truth was. If we're being informed, watching the right stuff, and we're not getting crap from mainstream media. So I'm going to leave this podcast here because I'm really coming up on my full extract cannabis oil now. And yeah, I'd love to watch like some Adventure Time or something. Right, so thanks very much for watching, everyone. Peace.